computer. There we go. Well, welcome. And Dr. Henry, my name is Roy Prevost, and I am the member of the Royal City Rotary Club. And it is a pleasure to have you as what I would call an honorary member of Rotary. And so I just want to kind of cover some of the things. By the way, you're from PEI. And I have fond memories of PEI. I was born in the Gaspé of Eastern Quebec. And so we used to go to PEI. Now I'm telling my age a little bit here, but we would go to the lobster suppers where we would get the big thing of potatoes, the potato salad, and then every tails and claws. It was like spectacular. And at that time I was probably 16 or 17 years old, and I can tell you they made no money on me. But I think it was $5 back then. So
well, they're still available today, and every time I go home, we go to the lobster supper, and many people from Quebec come every August.
There you go. And so I'm guessing it isn't $5 anymore.
No, slightly more.
So I'm just, Dr. Henry, I'm just going to pause this for a moment to mute everyone because I'm getting some feedback here, if that's okay with you. And then maybe you can unmute yourself if you don't mind doing that. There we are. So, Dr. Henry, is Dave Hamilton with us? Has he showed up yet? He hasn't showed up yet. Okay, so we're going to do his introduction or his kind of few words at the end. So this is an opportunity for us to bestow on you the Paul Harris Fellow, and I'm going to call on our incoming president, Liz Kelly, who is going to make the presentation to you now. And but before I do that, hold on, I have a couple of things. We have members of the Royal City Rotary here. We have members of the Rotary of New Westminster, and David Hamilton, who is the incoming district governor, who should be showing up any moment, will be attending. So I just want to share that with you. So I will call on Liz Kelly, who is here to deliver the brief history of the Paul Harris Fellow and the inspiration behind this award to you. And so I'll pass it over to Liz, who's there.
All righty. Okay. So hi, Dr. Henry. It's such a pleasure to have you with us today. Rotary has a history of serving communities here at home and around the world for over 115 years. Named after Rotary's founder, the Paul Harris Fellow recognition acknowledges the contributions of Rotary members and supporters of the Rotary Foundation who have brought positive change to communities in need. It also strives to inspire others to join our efforts to do good in the world. It's Rotary's way of expressing its appreciation to select individuals who make an extraordinary impact on the world community. The Rotary Foundation, through resources generated by the Paul Harris Fellow Funding Program, supports projects that advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace through the improvement of health, the support of education, and alleviation of poverty. Dr. Henry, your own personal experience as part of the World Health Organization UNICEF polio eradication program in Pakistan demonstrates you share Rotary's mission to eliminate the polio virus from the world. This is something Rotary and our partners have been working on since 1985. It is fitting that you will be joining Dr. Jonas Salk, who is also a Paul Harris Fellow. Dr. Salk is a physician, a medical researcher, and virologist who developed the first successful polio vaccine in the early 1950s. Your work to establish the Canada Pandemic Influenza Plan, which contains recommendations for anticipating the health-related restrictions necessary to contain the spread of the virus, has directly and positively impacted the course of this pandemic, which has currently devastated parts of the globe. Your measures have saved countless lives here in our province and been recognized internationally as a model for effective pandemic control. When you first spoke the words, Now is a time to be kind, be calm, and be safe. You showed your compassion for what the people of BC face with COVID-19. You inspire us with your gentleness. Your calm voice of reason reassures us that we're all going to get through this together. And you instill confidence in our citizens that we could place trust in your strategies. Dr. Henry, you were selected to receive this recognition because your work exemplifies the humanitarian objectives of the Rotary Foundation. A world of peace and goodwill comes closer to reality today as Dr. Bonnie Henry becomes a Paul Harris Fellow. It gives me great pleasure to virtually present to you the 3 emblems of appreciation given to Paul Harris Fellows: the certificate, the medallion, and the pin. Please accept our congratulations and sincere thanks for your commitment to the common goals of world understanding and peace. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Liz, for that. And everybody, virtual applause for Liz for having done that. So I'm guessing Dave Hamilton is not here with us yet. So we're just going to move along. I want to ask first, Dr. Henry, if you have a few words I'd like to share with our club and with the Rotary family.
I do, and I just, I'm very touched and I'm very honored. And I just want to start by saying that I'm also very grateful to be speaking to you from the traditional territories of the Squamish, the Tsleil-Waututh, and the, and the,
There you go.
I know it'll come back to me. First Nation in Vancouver. I'm a little bit whelmed, actually. But Rotary is something that I have been aware of for quite a long time. And as you mentioned, I went and I am well aware that it was Rotary Canada that started the polio eradication program, and that was instrumental in raising the money to start it in Latin America and South America, and that we were able to actually control polio there. And the impetus for the partnership with the WHO around the polio eradication program. And I had the honor of being part of one of the first stop transmission of polio teams that went to Pakistan and Afghanistan, and it was, unfortunately, we were not entirely successful yet, and that is still part of the world where polio is unfortunately still circulating. And I am only hopeful that that it's the efforts that we have all put in are not going to be disrupted for long because of what is happening now with the COVID pandemic around the world. I will tell you a little anecdote that you might not be aware of. But after I did work in Pakistan, I spread the word around polio eradication. And on March 13th, 2003, I was actually presenting about polio eradication and the work that I had done at a Rotary meeting in Kingston, where a childhood friend, Adrienne Brown, she was a member of the Rotary there. She was the mother of my childhood friend. And was on the way home from Kingston. I was in Toronto at the time, working as a medical officer of health in the city of Toronto. And after Adrienne took me back to the train station to take the train back into Toronto, it's when I got the first phone call from one of my colleagues saying, "Oh, we have this guy who's in hospital and we think he might have TB, but we also have a measles outbreak going on brewing, so why don't you take the TB thing and I'll take the measles." And so I went back into Toronto, and the next morning, March 14th, 2003, was when we started investigating the first person who was our index case of the SARS outbreak in Toronto. So that was a very pivotal, as you can imagine, that's burnt into my mind. But I am so appreciative of the work that Rotary has done, and particularly Rotary here in Canada in supporting polio eradication. It's with all of these things that we work on in infectious diseases, it's not having one or the other. It's the fact that we have COVID on top of polio, and anything that we can do to particularly improve the lives of children who suffer from polio and who never gain back life in many parts of the world when they have that. And we have the means to do it, and we need to still remain committed to it. And I'm really just grateful and honored today that you've chosen me for this award this year.
Well, thank you. Quick question for you. I understand that you didn't have a one-day holiday for about 189 days. Are you taking time off now?
No, it was 156 days. So
Oh,
it was last Saturday. I had my first day off. So I'm now at day, what does that make it? Today's Wednesday. I'm now at day 10, starting again. But no, I actually have the Saturday off. But I will say as well, I believe it's tomorrow is our 100th media briefing.
Oh.
So it's been more than 100 statements and it's been more than 100 days, but our actual physical media briefing will be 100.
Wow. So you did, I won't ask you what you did. I hope you slept in on your day off and relaxed. I'm hoping you did that.
I did sleep in a little bit and then I cleaned my house. my housekeeper, who I appreciate dearly, has been, of course, staying away through all of this time. And I realized, yeah, it was desperately, which felt really good at the end of it, but it took a long time. And then I cooked, which is something that I always do. It helps me feel good, and had some friends over from a distance.
Good for you. Well, we won't keep you any longer. I just want to personally say how much I really love what you're doing and your leadership in this. And you know, you're getting worldwide accolades, and deservedly so, for what you're doing. So we as a Rotarian family, we really appreciate it. So just to let you know, and I know.
Can I just go back one step? And now that I've got my thoughts together, it's the traditional and unceded territories of the Squamish, the Musqueam, and the Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. And I'm very grateful for being able to be here from their lands here today.
Great, thank you, and thank you again. So, and I'll close with saying that I want to give recognition to, of course, Liz Kelly, President-elect, who kind of, you know, put this initiative together, and our current president, Monica Woldring, who's on the call, Treasurer Alana Holm, and Ways and Means Committee Chair Kathy McCarricker for their contribution to this event. So I just want to acknowledge those folks. And Dr. Henry, we look forward to your daily press briefings. I'm sure that you're kept super busy, and hopefully you can come and speak to our clubs at some time in the future to kind of share your life. And I hope you'll write a book about this, because this must be spectacular in your world. I mean, have you thought of that?
I will tell you that I have written a book that was republished recently, but yes, I have thought of that, and I'm very blessed. I have a sister. Well, I have a number of sisters, but my sister has been. She was here, happened to be here near the beginning of when this started, so she's been chronicling some things for me. So we are thinking at some time of writing some of it down, because it is. I mean, for all of us, it's been such almost surreal in many ways, but a challenging time with so many decisions and trying to weigh the balances of pros and cons. It's been a really challenging thing for everybody. I'm just grateful that we have a great team here.
So just in closing, I just want to ask you one question about the current situation. I mean, we've got a fairly good handle on it, but do you see the second wave coming, or dare I even ask that question?
Yeah, you know what? As we learn, we look around the world, and New Zealand had a really good handle on it too, but now they've had 2 people who've been introduced, unfortunately. So when it's a lot like polio, when the virus is anywhere, we really are at risk everywhere. So we need to keep up some of the basic things until we have a vaccine. You know, we've had a increase. We've had a couple of clusters here in the Lower Mainland. Another long-term care facility outbreak again today. So we cannot let our guard down. I do think it's very likely we're going to have what we need to do right now, and what we're working on full time, is keeping it low and slow, and making sure that we're minimizing it We're trying to prevent any rapid spread. And then as we get into the fall, it's going to be challenging again for all of us, because I know we're going to get influenza. So now everybody has to get immunized for influenza and reduce as much of that as we can. And then we need to continue to manage COVID as it comes to.
Thank you again. And I would take questions, but there's too many people, or maybe I can, I don't know what. Can you take a few questions, Dr. Henry?
I can, certainly.
Okay. Who would raise your hand who would like to ask a question? I can't. Oh, there, Dennis. Okay, I'll unmute you. Hold on, Dennis. Or maybe you can unmute yourself, Dennis.
I think you can't unmute everybody at once anymore, I understand.
Oh, there you
There we go. There we go. Dr. Henry, is there a reasonable chance that the border with the U.S. could be shut down at least until Christmas?
Yeah, obviously these things are out of my hands in that the border issues are federal issues. We obviously have great concerns, as you've heard us say, about visitors. You know, clearly we need to have essential travel back and forth, and we know that there's risks inherent with that, but we are dependent on each other across this continent for sure. So there needs to be some travel, and I have been pushing to have some family reunification. There are people that are usually separated across the border, and but we do need to have in place very strong measures to make sure that we're not going to be continuously seeded from the United States, and that's a focus that we have. We have measures on the border right now, but these are things that that are challenging because to get your businesses going again, economies going, we have to find a way to do it that's measured.
Thank you. Well, we'll take one more question.
Bob.
Go ahead. No, who raised their hand?
Bob had his hand up.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Bob, maybe you can unmute yourself. There, I think I unmuted you, Bob.
I think so, Roy. Thank you. Dr. Henry, I understand that you hail from Prince Edward Island. She's muted.
Oh.
I do. Actually, I was born in Camp Gagetown in Fredericton, New Brunswick, because my dad was in the army. But my parents are still back there, and the island. I have red mud in my blood. I think red mud and salt water.
It's such a beautiful part of Canada.
I'm very blessed.
Okay, folks, we're going to. Oh, just a second, Mike. Did you have a question? You have to unmute yourself, Mike. And then that'll be the last question.
Yeah, Dr. Henry, just I think in some of your comments you've talked about the need to be outdoors and to be out in the fresh air. I think is very wise, both in terms of our mental health as well as creating the ability to social distance with caution. I wonder if you have any thoughts in looking at the summer in terms of as people go on holidays. Do you think it is wise to do a bit of local travel, or do you have any thoughts or recommendations on that?
Yeah. I made the mistake of making a comment after a reporter asked my opinions of keeping Stanley Park partly closed to cars, and I've received a lot of vitriol today, so I need to be careful. People with cars need to go to Stanley Park too, but no, I think it is very important, and you know that was just my encouragement of active transport. So you know, biking, increasing our ability to go biking and running and walking is always really important, both for our physical and during a time of crises like this. That is something that is important for our mental and emotional health as well. And yes, you know, as we get into this next phase of our restart, it'll be important for us to support our communities by traveling within BC. And I think we are going to be, it's going to be some time before we get a lot of the international vacation travel. both because the demand's not there, so there's not going to be flights, but also because of concerns. This virus is still out of control in many parts of the world. So I do encourage people to travel within BC and to do it respectfully and with safe travel in mind. So if we're going to a smaller community, check ahead, find out what's open, bring what you need with you. But yeah, let's stay home and enjoy the beauty that we have here in BC this summer.
Okay, so I know Dr. Henry, you are super busy, so we're going to sign off at the moment. For all the Royal City Rotarians are meeting us tonight, a very short meeting. For the rest of our group now, I'm not sure if the governor, I'm just going to go to gallery view here and just see if
I don't
I'll sign off then, and thank you so much. I'm very grateful.
Liz has our
No, he hasn't.
he hasn't
I've
showed up. Okay, folks, thank you so much. All the best.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.
Dave just told me he had the wrong day. I just got a text from him.
Okay, well,
So his apologies.
yep. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Hope to see you tonight on the call. All the best.
Thanks,
Bye.
Roy.
Bye.
Bye.